The holiday season for music producers is that time of year when you can finally treat yourself to that piece of gear you've been saving up all year for. Or it's when you have a cousin who has a home studio and you have to figure out a gift last minute. I make music under the name Microwave, and I've been making music for over 10 years now. So I'm gonna help y'all figure it out by telling you the top 12 essential gifts for music producers this holiday season. And just a quick note, I'm not sponsored by any of these companies that I'm about to mention. I'm just trying to spread the holiday cheer and spread the knowledge. Starting off with number 1, and perhaps the most essential for any home studio, a laptop. I'm not going to get into the whole PC versus Mac debate, but basically what you want is a laptop with a good amount of CPU and a lot of storage. Because as you start downloading plugins and programs, a computer with not a strong CPU or a good amount of storage will not perform as well as you'd want it to be. So I cannot stress enough how good it is to invest early on a great computer. And one of the reasons why I'm suggesting a laptop over a desktop is because these laptops nowadays, especially the Macs, are performing as good or even better than a lot of desktops. I currently have an M2 Max, which has a 12-core CPU, 32 gigabytes of memory, and 1 terabyte of storage. And just this year, they came out with the M3 and M4 models, which are even more powerful. But as you can imagine, because they are newer models, they are really expensive, and my laptop ran me about $3,000 honestly. Again, it is a Mac, but there are some really good high quality PC laptops that could run you about $1,000. So take into consideration your needs and your budget, but I highly recommend splurging a little bit if you can, because that will be a worthwhile investment. So now that you have your laptop, how are you going to make music? So that brings us to number 2, a digital audio workstation program. This is going to be the program that you use to record your music and make your beats. Popular ones nowadays are FL Studio, Ableton, Pro Tools, and Logic. I've been an Ableton boy my entire career, but nowadays a lot of these programs have advanced to the point that they basically do the same thing, but are more geared toward a specific type of demographic. Ableton's more geared towards sound designers and more experimental type of producers, whereas Logic is more geared towards singer-songwriters because it's so user-friendly and the interface is really intuitive. Pro Tools is the high standard for most studios, but that's starting to change nowadays. It's more of a mixing program than a production style program, but it's still one that a lot of producers tend to use as well. And FL Studio is perhaps the most popular and perhaps the easiest to get into as a beginner producer. These programs could be a bit expensive. I just got Ableton 12 for roughly around $800, but these programs come equipped with basically everything you can possibly need, so you can start making productions quickly and efficiently. And these stock plugins have become so advanced that honestly they rival the paid stuff. And let's go on to number 3, an audio interface. In layman's terms, an audio interface is basically the central point where you'll route all of your audio coming in and out of your productions. It's where all of your instruments will be connected to, it's where all of your speakers will be connected to, it's where all your MIDI keyboards will be connected to. One of the more budget-friendly audio interfaces is the Focusrite Scarlett. It's what almost every producer uses when they're first starting out. I currently use the Apollo Twin X from Universal Audio. And when you purchase that interface, it comes bundled with a lot of really high-end, industry-grade quality plugins. So every audio interface does have its own slight character to how it converts the audio. So it's just something to keep in mind for producers that don't have their ears fine-tuned yet. And as I mentioned before, one of the key things you're going to be connecting into your audio interface are your studio monitors. One of the key differences between a studio monitor and a speaker in a PA system, for example, is that speakers tend to have more of a preference to a specific area in the frequency spectrum. They might have a heavier bass, a more wider mid-range, or a slightly sharper treble. Whereas studio monitors try to keep it as flat and as even as possible, that way you can make more well-informed mixes. If you're a producer that's trying to get more into mixing, then I'd recommend something like the Yamaha HS7s or HS8s. Now, another essential piece of how you listen to music will not only be your studio monitors, but also your headphones. Listening to your music on studio monitors is great, but listening to them on headphones gives you insight to a more typical and casual way of listening to music. So I suggest switching between your studio monitors and your headphones as regularly as possible. I recommend having 2 to 3 headphones in your home studio at all times. One for mixing, one for production, and one for when you're recording other people. I love the Beyerdynamic 990s. They are a very quiet headphone, but they're very flat and give me a really well-informed mix, so I highly recommend them, and they don't break the bank. Now, on to number 6, cables. Producers can never have too many cables. Trust me, we will have a cable for everything, and they are always in need. XLR cables, RCA cables, MIDI cables. They are the equivalent of socks in the producer world. So if you are in a tight budget and you want to give a gift to a music producer, cables will be much appreciated. Now, on to number 7, a MIDI keyboard. A MIDI keyboard to a music producer is basically our all-in-one toolbox. Aside from using it as a generic keyboard for any melodic and harmonic elements, you can also sample on them and you can also program drums on them. I personally use the Akai MPK Mini. I've had this for years and I think I bought it for around $90. A lot of what we do in our productions is going to be run through the MIDI keyboard, so it is a crucial part of any home studio. Now, if you are a producer that also wants to record their own vocals or even run a few recording sessions for other artists, another essential part is a microphone. I'm currently using the Shure SM7B. I got this mic for roughly around $400 on Black Friday a couple of years ago. It's a very flat mic with a little bit of warmth to it. I'd say for vocal recording, especially for singing vocal recording, I'd consider this mic to be around the mid-level in quality and professionalism. But having said that, I think it's a perfect all-round mic. So if you really want to have it sound like a more high-level mic, you do have to do a little bit of vocal processing through EQ. I obviously record my YouTube videos on this mic, and I've also recorded artists on this mic as well. So they seem very happy with it, and I'm definitely very happy with it. So when it comes to microphones, if you want to treat yourself a little bit, but still be within a reasonable budget, I highly recommend this microphone. Now, let's get into number 9, a musical instrument. And this can range from electronic bass, a violin, a banjo, a ukulele, and most certainly a guitar, both acoustic and electric. I think having some level of musical knowledge can really take you very far as a music producer. This definitely diversifies your portfolio and also sets you apart from producers that only just sample or draw stuff in MIDI. For guitars, for example, you can typically get very budget-friendly guitars from either Guitar Center or Sweetwater for roughly around $100. If you are a producer that's just trying to add a little bit of live instrumentation to an already synthesized beat, then a cheap guitar or instrument can really go a long way. But if you are a producer that's definitely leaning very heavily to live instrumentation, then definitely try to invest in a more expensive sounding instrument. Tracklib. Once again, I am not sponsored by them at all. I just use them very often. I'm a sample-based producer, and when I was starting out, I was just ripping stuff off the internet. But when it came time for me to try to make money off my music, I got hit with the roadblock of trying to figure out how to clear a sample. But with Tracklib, it's really straightforward, and you don't even have to contact any of the publishers or try to figure out who owns what. They have a massive catalog, and once you find a sample that you want to use, all you have to do is just pay the fee, and typically, for most of them, it's just $50. And yeah, they do have songs that are up to $1,500 to sample, but for the most part, the $50 ones are just as good. I pay the $8.99 a month subscription to have access to the catalog, so assess your needs, but if you are a sample-based producer, this is a must-have because it's definitely something I wish I had when I was first starting out. Now, on to number 11, plugins. Like I said before, most DAWs have great stock plugins, but if you want to elevate it a little more, there are some very affordable options. I especially want to give a shout out to a particular company, Waves. Waves has deals all year round to some very affordable but also high quality plugins. They currently have a buy 2 plugins and get 2 free, and they're always marked down to roughly around $30. They have LA2A emulators, they have Pultec emulators, one great one called Clarity Deverb, which basically soundproofs an unsoundproofed recording. They have some amazing plugins with very affordable prices. So if you're a music producer that's trying to elevate their game, or you know one who's trying to do so, then definitely check out Waves because I highly recommend them. Now, last but not least, number 12, sample packs and drum kits. Can't make any beats without any drum sounds, and you can't sample anything without any sample packs. So investing in something like this is a must. And you can find some really high quality ones made by already established producers, because one of the key ways that producers make money is by selling sample packs based off productions that they've done in the past. to sell to up-and-coming producers that want to take influence and inspiration from them. If you go to r/music producer, or you can browse through Instagram and try to find a producer that you really enjoy, and 9 times out of 10 they have a sample pack that they're trying to sell. I feel like this is an aspect of music production that's often overlooked. So if you're trying to be special and trying to give something to a music producer, or you're trying to treat yourself into something that a lot of people don't consider as often, then do yourself a favor and get a sample pack. Well, that about does it, guys. If you found value in this video, please consider liking the video, sharing the video, or subscribing for more music production content. I make music under the name Microwave. I hope you guys have a happy holiday, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.